Happy New Year and welcome everyone to the Purple People Podcast, our first episode of 2024. Can I start the episode with something very dumb? Isn't it crazy how 24 years ago we thought every computer was never going to work and people just hoarded stuff and we were like, it's the end of the world.
I seen a meme that was like, as a millennial, how many end of the world events have I lived through? And it listed Y2K, 2012,
The swine flu,
yeah,
the whatever. Like it's something new every other year. It's hilarious.
COVID.
Shocking. We're all still here after that, even though they said we wouldn't be.
9/11. How many?
Hi, I'm Aaron Rodgers, and welcome to the Purple People Podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Hey, welcome, everyone. This is episode 545. We are doing the Lions and Packers reviews. I was out of town. Yeah, Kyle and I are not excited to talk about this football team at all.
Yeah, we took time off for Christmas. We all had stuff going on, and
Yep.
We don't do that very often, but we took that opportunity this week.
What I pride myself on is, I should say we. I promise I'm not that arrogant. We do a weekly show here. We're not going to overload you with filler content, but we're here enough to have the community that we have. And albeit that it's small, it's personal. We know most of the people on here. We love it. But after these last 2 weeks and the holidays being here, I'm telling you, man, I have no desire. And it shouldn't be that way. There's a lot of bright spots on the team. But with Kirk Cousins out, there's no competing. Now they have a 3% chance to get in the playoffs. They need a lot of help. The Vikings aren't going to do anything of merit for the rest of the year. And it just goes back to what we said before. When Kirk tore his Achilles in week 8 or whatever it was, that was the season. It was over with. And it's been pretty bad. There was a highlight or two there right after. Josh Dobbs was an anomaly. But
the Josh Dobbs era of Minnesota Vikings for 2 games.
What I have found, and you'll love this, Kyle, is shocking. When Vikings Twitter complains, they complain the loudest of not any group at all on the planet. And then when they get served their vegetables, they back out of that opinion so fast because
Jaren Hall needs to start. We need to see Jaren Hall.
Yes.
Just let the rookie start. Like, what would it hurt?
It's tough. It's really tough.
Fast forward to about 5 minutes into the game. Whose idiot decision was it to start Jaren Hall?
Well, it's not only that. People say, "Oh, whose idiot decision?" Now it falls on Kevin O'Connell for the players not executing. What I will say in the consistency of the last 2 years is the offense is pretty good when the players are correct. They are. Look at and I have this brought up specifically for this show to shit on this statistic again. Not the person, the statistic. And this is hilarious. I mean, it really is just God hates this team, and I'll say it until the day I die. 2023 team leaders on offense. Would you care to take a guess?
I mean, TJ Hawkinson has to be up there.
Hawkinson is the receiving yards leader. He's out with an ACL. Kirk Cousins, 2,331, 18 touchdowns. And Alexander Mattison, 16 games into the season, 676 yards and 0 touchdowns.
That's awful.
It's terrible. This team is just anemic this year. And it's crazy because it really goes to the depth, issue of any NFL team, not just the Vikings. You have to have solid playmakers everywhere. There's a rhythm and rhyme to every team and situation, literally every building and city. It could be something happens to where it just lines up that you get a good player. Like when the Vikings went after Jared Allen and he had an impact for 6-7 years. It was awesome. But the point I'm trying to make is this season is over. Yes, correct. There is one game left. Nick Mullins has just announced 3 hours ago by Kevin O'Connell that he will start the final game in Detroit. There's not much to look forward to except the draft. And it sucks because what has happened consistently outside of 2 bad years with Mike Zimmer and then he was fired was every other year since 2015, it's been Playoffs, not playoffs. Playoffs, not playoffs. There's no consistency here. And I think the biggest thing we'll look back on when the emotions clear of this season is the injuries, man. The injuries got us. It happens to at least 3 or 4 teams every year. What's crazy about this year, and we've already talked about, is how many quarterbacks went out. Because it's been an ugly season. It's been a lot of these games have been horse shit to watch. It's been real bad.
Yeah, there has been just this year in general a lot of quarterbacks around the league that have got hurt. And for the Vikings, it's easy for us to sit here and play armchair quarterback for what they should or should not have done. The fact of the matter is, when you look at the 3 options that they rotated out after Kirk got hurt, they are either career backups or a rookie that was your third stringer at the start of the season for a reason, okay, who was thrust into a position where he suddenly has to start due to injuries to other players. And so, we've seen flashes from all 3 guys, but by and large, you've seen why all of them were in the roles that they were in. In week 1, they were all in the spots that they should have been, with being your backup or being your third stringer or whatnot. The one case that you could make for Kevin O'Connell is that potentially maybe you should have just stuck with Josh Dobbs for the duration of the season. I know we had that really bad game. Maybe you could have done a better job of like scheming and game planning around his strengths and just sticking with him. And the reason why I say that is that by and large, you don't win when you play musical chairs at quarterback. So having some kind of consistency throughout the season and sticking with someone maybe would have had a little bit better of an outcome. The going back and forth is concerning to me a little bit in terms of, hey, we're going to start Jaren Hall, and then after a quarter, oopsie daisy, we're going to go back to Nick Mullins. It's the waffling back and forth is like, if we're going to lay it all on the table and critique Kevin O'Connell, that's a criticism of him, of not being able to stick to a decision.
Here's what I'll say too, and this is no shot at one of my buddies. I wish we would go Flacco than Dobbs. Yeah, that would have been great. He's having a hell of a year.
Who knew that Flacco was going to play that well?
Well, going back to what I said about Jaren Hall too, it's like I said this on the last show, or at least to my friends. I've said this many times in the last week. I just don't know where I said it. Is you want to see what you have in Jaren Hall? It's 2 games. I have said this on this show because I've been a part of this team. I'll tell you guys a fun fact. I still remember it. I believe, if the number is correct, I guest hosted on episode 87 of the show. It is episode 545. And that was the Cincinnati game when Mike Zimmer was still the D coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. And then he eventually came over and was the head coach of the Vikings. And then I was on this show ever since. It's been a fun time. I can tell you right now, I've said this on this show since I've been a permanent host. So many.
Oh, I lost your audio, Smith. I think you must have knocked over a cable or something. Well, you're working on getting that back. So one of the points I wanted to make here was that I wonder how much of the decision from Kevin O'Connell to start Jaren Hall was based on the outcry that we've seen on social media. And that to me is concerning a little bit if you do have a head coach who is being influenced by what's going on social media. Now, I don't know if that would have been from him or if that would have come from someone above him, but I sure hope that the decision to start Jaren Hall was his and his alone and not something that was directed, from the top down to him to try to appease fans. Because boy, oh boy, if that's what they're doing, we've got the wrong people in charge because you can't run a team like that.
I don't think. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep.
I don't think that it's fan driven. I think what Kevin O'Connell was trying to do damage control with the turnovers. and I have it here on Stat News. The Vikings are number 3 this year with the most turnovers. The Cleveland Browns have 35, the Jets have 32, and the Vikings are tied at 32. So this goes back to my point, and this isn't a shot at my friend. I am going to use his paraphrase of what he said. But my buddy Mike, I love doing Twitter Spaces with him. He's one of our Canadian brethren up in New York who's a Vikings fan, and he's one of my dear friends in the Viking community. But he's been on the fire Kevin O'Connell train, and I could not vehemently disagree more. Especially, which was funny, and Mike, I love you if you listen to this. You have to eat your vegetables on this. He was like, we should just hire Brian Flores to come in. Well, the defenses look like dog shit for the last 3 games, and it's kind of been figured out. The one bright spot and the only game we've won, and I want to point this out because this is awful. Outside of that Las Vegas Raiders win 3-0, the Vikings have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This dates back all the way to beating the Saints, which I don't even remember what week that was. And they have one win since then, scattered with 5 losses.
Is the last game, who was the starting quarterback for the last game that they won? Was it?
I believe it was Nick Mullins. I'll check it right now. Let's check it right now. Yeah. The last time we won was at the Raiders, which I have an announcement, guys, as we list this. I don't know yet if my work is going to send me. It sounds like
you have declared for the NFL draft. You filed your paperwork.
I literally had to go today and request an MRI because I can't even sit down correctly. So that's going to be a hard pass. Even when I was 20 years old, I couldn't throw far. I couldn't catch. I can't run fast. And I wasn't big. So, like, I'll squirt your Gatorade for you.
Yeah.
No, Nick Mullins in that game, 9 for 13 for 83 yards.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. That's been the bulk. So that's not a good snapshot, though, because he has had some games where he threw like 400 yards. I think the Bengals game. It's the turnovers that have killed this team, and that is not on Kevin O'Connell. I will never put that on him. He's not the one fumbling and or throwing interceptions. I'm not going to put that on him. The Brian Flores stuff, yeah, he's tenured, but the culture that you built around Kevin O'Connell, it seems like the team has taken to him. These are it's basically you're hiring Mike Zimmer again. And I don't think that's good for the culture. I love Brian Flores as a coach. I think it's proven that what he does works. But why would you snatch the rug out from under? No, you're
not moving on from Kevin O'Connell. This season, to salvage anything out of it after Kirk Cousins went down would have been a really difficult ask for, I think, any coach in the league, especially one as young as what Kevin O'Connell is into his coaching tenure. Like, it was a growing experience and a learning experience for the entire team, the entire organization.
I'll give you this too. Just to interrupt, think of the thing that comes to mind for what you're saying, and it's a great point, and I want to echo it with an example that should jump out to you, and you just have to be, everyone listening to this, just be honest about this team. Look at the 2017 Eagles that beat the Patriots and the Vikings at the end of the year to win the Super Bowl, right? They had the MVP that year until he bashed his knee, which I think is stupid. If he's an MVP up into 15 games, he's the fucking MVP unless he's literally neck and neck stat-wise and team-wise. It was the Vikings and Case Keenum, and they were the same stat, and he kept going, whatever. He should have been the MVP, but that's beyond the point I'm trying to make is you have to have a seasoned veteran like Joe Flacco right now. Hey, he's been to the damn thing, and he's done the dance. Fun stat, if you guys don't remember, that 2012 run of the Ravens, he went 4-0 in the playoffs, won a Super Bowl. He threw 12 touchdowns in 4 games, 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, on fire. So say what you want about him. Get a guy like that, but you have to look at the pieces around, not only the players. Like that line in Philly since 2017 has been nasty. They have every running back they have like a Ferrari of running back shops. They're just like, hey, any one of these work? And they're like, yeah, they all work here. Thanks. All the running backs have been good. You have stud wide receivers. I was so pissed. I wanted Alshon Jeffrey to go from the Bears to the Vikings because he was great. And he was like, I'm not playing with fucking Minnesota. So he went to Philly, got a ring. They had, what was the tight end that was really good 6-7 years ago? Brent Selleck, maybe? I think he was on the end of it. They've had it's tight end you over there too. My point being, they had the players where a backup seasoned veteran could come in and just sling the ball. They also had time on their hands because when you came in, Nick, what's his name? That one, Nick Foles.
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles had a couple of bad games before they got to the playoffs, but they got in the dance because they did so well that year. So he had time to adjust. Then they weren't ready for his style of play, just slinging it everywhere. And the third and final thing, maybe Brian Flores, you can kind of confidently say, but I don't know about Wes Phillips. They have coordinators everywhere who are really good at their jobs. Do the Vikings have all of those things? Do they have a veteran quarterback with great experience and success? No. Do they have every skill position and the offensive and defensive lines are the best in the league or top 5? Hell no. Is every coordinator doing their job? Is special teams balling out this year? No. The defense was for 2/3 of the season. The first 3 games and the last 3 games have been terrible, and everything in between has been great. What do we expect this team to do? The writing was on the wall, so I'm not surprised by all this, but I agree with you, and I'll shut up after this. I know I'm going.
Well,
I agree with you. I wish they would have stuck with Mullins throughout, because going back to my point, what have I said on this show since I became a host? Who had a great one game somewhere? Freaking Matt Flynn threw 6 touchdowns in one game.
Brock Osweiler.
Brock Osweiler saved the Denver season. Did they go on with him after? No. What are you looking to find in 2 games from a rookie quarterback, even if he threw 18 touchdowns in 2 games? That doesn't tell me shit. What if he got hurt the very next game? I don't know what this fan base wants. I swear to God, the Vikings will win a Super Bowl, and this fan base will find something to bitch about.
I mean, I know what I want as a Vikings fan for this team to do moving forward. There's one thing, but before we talk moving forward, I did want to mention one thing about this Green Bay game. The team looked really flat, really, really flat. I don't want to say they gave up, but they knew their season's over. And it was we're not in regular season mode. We're in week 2 of the preseason mode right now. I don't think they were giving it full effort out there. And I don't blame them as well either.
I'm listening, sir. So they're at the Packers. This will be an interesting game because the Packers right now they're going to have to play their people. So I do think they're a better team than the Bears. But if the Bears end up beating the Packers, which is the possibility, shout out Justin Fields, proving me wrong. He has played very good this second half of the year. If they beat the Packers and we lose to the Lions like I predict we do you understand we're going to be last in the division after we just won it?
That is insane.
And
but have I not said
yes.
I know what you're
going to say. Yes.
All off season last year that 2 things cannot be true at the same time. You are not going to, we're going to take a step back and we're going to do a quiet rebuild and we're going to get rid of all these veteran players, your Adam Thielens and your Eric Kendricks and Dalvin Cooks of the world, and those are the right moves, and we're going to take a step back. That's thing 1. And then thing 2 that this fan base also said was, but we're also going to win the division. And that's not guys, that's not how that works. We got rid of a lot of aging veteran players. Okay, we made some tough decisions. We love you, thank you, goodbye, Adam Thielen. You don't do all that. Let me say that you very rarely do you do all that in a rebuilding year and win the division and make a wild card and make a push for the playoffs at the same time. This year, for better or worse, was supposed to be basically what it was. I think it went a little more south than what we were expecting because of the injuries. Okay, when you lose a Kirk Cousins, when you lose Justin Jefferson for the majority of the season, when Alexander Mattison did not pan out the way we thought he would, that is 3 major key components to your offense that are missing in action or not working. So the struggles that they had out there on offense I give him a bit of a pass on that as well too. It's why I'm not really angry. Looking back on this season, I'm not really angry at how things turned out because I think that there's a lot of good pieces moving forward. And I am really interested to see what the team chooses to do because we are at a very pivotal moment as the Minnesota Vikings franchise moving forward, where what they do this offseason is going to determine, are we going to become the next Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills? And by that I mean, like, are we going to be a powerhouse franchise in the NFL, or are we going to regress and take a step back and we're going to play it safe and we're just going to be 7 wins, 8 wins, sniff the wild card? Like you said, every other year we do really good, we do really bad. Are we going to continue on that trend? Like, this off season is key to determining the future of this franchise. I would not want to be the Vikings general manager right now because you have to make some really big fucking decisions. Some really big decisions.
Questy has to pick one avenue of about 3 different lanes. What I'm hoping they do and what we've seen so far is this is a pretty decent quarterback draft, and we know that Kirk will probably be back. This is a perfect time for your and I's favorite scenario where you get him, bring him back, draft the quarterback, give him a year, maybe 2 at most. Kirk will be there, but you'll have a backup. And if Kirk gets hurt again, then you'll say, hey, look, we're riding with the rookie like CJ Stroud did all year, Bryce Young did, blah, blah, blah. That's one. And I think that's what's going to happen. The other thing is they roll with Kirk. They roll with the same group of quarterbacks. Maybe Dobbs stays, maybe he doesn't. I think Mullins will be here. I don't hate him. He's a gunslinger. You get what you get with him. They go in and they find a way to beef themselves up on the line and really make this a physical team. I don't know if that's the direction they want to go. I think it's the direction they should go.
What do you always say? What does history tell us? Okay, and this is what scares me a little bit. Look at Mark and Ziggy Wilf, and what does history tell us on how they on what they like as owners of the Minnesota Vikings? They love that 1 or 2 year window where the poker chips are all on the table and we're all in and we're going to win now. Very rarely do we ever see them willingly take a step back and say, we're going to invest in our future. Okay.
Yeah.
And so to draft a big time quarterback, okay, we're not waiting for Teddy Bridgewater to fall to us. We're not waiting for Christian Ponder to fall to us in the draft and overdo it. Like, I'm talking about going up and getting one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the coming draft is a decision that the Wilfs have never really done before. So what seems likely, one of the scenarios is they're going to think, well, we can win now with Kirk Cousins. So if we re-sign Kirk to another 1 or 2 year deal, and then in this year's draft, we take a defensive end or a defensive tackle, and we can win now with the players that we have. I'm glad someone brought up Michael Penix. Michael Penix is the guy that I really want to have on the Minnesota Vikings. I just don't know if this ownership has the balls to go after him. I just feel like they're going to play it safe and we're going to take Kirk Cousins and a defensive tackle, and we're just going to load up and play safe and do what we always do.
I mean, we do need a D tackle. We also need.
I mean, we do.
We need a corner, and then we need another corner, and then we need a linebacker, and then you got to replace Danielle Hunter.
But we know where that gets us. We know if you bring Kirk back and you do everything you said, you're an 8 or a 9 win team sniffing the wild card for the next couple seasons, and maybe you luck out and maybe you're an 11 win team because the ball bounced your way, or maybe not. But we've done that a bunch, and I really want to see this team say, you know what, we're being fucking aggressive and we're going for a young quarterback, and we are building for the future to be a great franchise. Not a 1 or 2 year window franchise, but like a great franchise.
I'm glad you said this, Wes, because this is exactly what I was going to bring up. I know very little about betting. I know that whoever is the minus is the favorite. I know the over-under would be the combined score for the NFL. The over-under at 47 points. You think there's going to be more? Is it going to be a more explosive, points-driven game, or is it going to be defense? Blah, blah, blah. And I know that there are, various outlets out there that will do prop bets, which I really enjoy. Like, this person has so many passing yards. This guy over-under rushes, blah, blah, blah. I can say successfully there is a formula, and I'd like to learn more if I was given the insider information. I won't do it on my own. I'd have to be given like a tour, like a little kid on a field trip, how you come up with the formula of betting. But I can tell you right now, these motherfuckers that are saying Russell Wilson is coming to the Minnesota Vikings, you are beyond stupid. You are so stupid. And this is the thing that makes me laugh about it is you don't have any investment in the city or the vibe of the team, or you have an insider, because this team fucking loves Kirk Cousins. We love him as fans. And if anything this year has cemented the value of back up the Brinks truck, buddy, because you suck without me. That's it. He would have managed this team a lot better if Justin Jefferson would have went down and it was just him slinging it to whomever. I think Brandon Powell might have had a breakout year because he looks all right when Kirk's throwing to him.
Mm-hmm.
I digress. The point I'm making is this is wrong. It is not accurate whatsoever. With what money? You're going to pay him $50 million a year. You got to pay Justin Jefferson $30 million a year. You got to pay Kirk $50 million a year. There's $130 million of the $260 million cap. No, this is stupid. So whoever came up with this, show me how you came up with this formula. Show me how.
I would be pissed. Wes, I will join you. If they sign Russell Wilson, we are going to Minneapolis and we're going to throw bricks through US Bank Stadium. Not because I don't think that he has been a fantastic player for quite a while in the league. He has been. I like Russell Wilson. I don't know what happened in Denver. Maybe it was just not the right spot. I don't like Sean Payton, so I won't even hold that against him. I would love to see him go elsewhere and ball out for the remainder of his career. What frustrates me about that, signing Russell Wilson would be the same thing that the Vikings always do. We've been there. We've done that. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. Signing the older veteran quarterback hasn't worked for this team. Can we once try something new and different?
Like
remember
every
how
other
much
team and try to mold a quarterback?
Older fans around our age, Smith here, remember how much fun it was when Dante Culpepper was our quarterback? He was our guy. We drafted him. He didn't come from elsewhere. Dante Culpepper was our guy. Culpepper to Moss was our combination out there on the field. That wasn't, we rented him from elsewhere, whatever. That was our guy. And
I'm okay with it if you need a renaissance, like a Drew Brees story. Like, we're taking a chance, kind of like you would on a rookie. Like, hey, he had a surgery, whatever. Like Denver Broncos taking a chance on Peyton Manning. It's fucking Peyton Manning. Yeah. And to his credit, Russell Wilson has a quietly good year. 26 touchdowns and 8 picks. That's not bad. But the price of that, he's not worth that kind of money. He's absolutely not.
How often do you get the storybook 2009 Brett Favre season where you bring in the old gunslinger out of retirement and he comes back and he statistically puts up the best career that he's ever had for a single season out there in Minnesota? That don't happen. You're more likely to back into Donovan McNabb at the ass end of his career than what you are Brett Favre in 2009.
Well, if we're gonna go down that road, then the Vikings should have been all in, and he could have and would have probably said no. But when Tom Brady's available at 40 years old, 42, whatever it was, why didn't you pursue him? Well, we had Kirk. Who fucking cares? It's Tom Brady. So you're going to go for – I'm not going to do that. That would have been a terrible analogy, and it's not true because he's a Super Bowl winner. I was going to call Russell Wilson wish Drew Brees, but he was more athletic than Drew Brees. We're going to go up for washed Russell Wilson and be like, we're going to do this. Like, to your 100% drive your point home is like, dude, we've seen this before. And my thing is, You're going to pay Justin Jefferson. Go get a young guy that'll be cheap for 4 years and try to do the Justin Herbert thing where you're like, okay, I can clearly see this dude knows how to play football. He's great. Can I figure out the team around him in 4 seasons to go make a run at a ring? That's it. That's the formula. That's what it is now. Unfortunately, with the way the NFL is, it's very sad, but the way it works now is you have to win now and you have to win all the time. Otherwise, like, I can't believe the Carolina Panthers fired their coach. You just drafted a rookie quarterback. 9 games in, you fire the coach. What does that tell you to anyone else? And that's what I'm hoping to God the Vikings don't start doing, is they start just firing people left and right. Like,
I
your
don't think
quarterback went down.
I don't think they will. I really don't.
You Vikings take a young quarterback, you speak sacrilege. We only take Washington veterans. Well, historically, yes, but the thing that it's wild to me is even old crusty Bill Belichick, if he's still in New England, which I don't think he's going to be there this year, he's going to go take a quarterback in the first round. And it's going to be in the top 10.
I'll give the Vikings credit, okay? With the Kirk Cousins signing, that was the most aggressive we've seen the Vikings in forever in a handbasket in addressing the quarterback position. Because
a player in their prime, yes.
Yes, because when Kirk came to Minnesota, he was in his prime. He was ready to go, and you know, the situation with Mike Zimmer ended up not being the best that it could have been. And so then that also makes you wonder, well, boy, what would have happened if you would have had a head coach who actually would have liked him and wanted him on the team for the duration that Kirk was here in Minnesota? You don't know, but I agree, Jonathan. I mean, we've been down this route of you sign a Brad Johnson or a Gus Frerotte or a Matt Castle, quarterbacks like that, and you can win with them in spurts, but you can never sustain it. It's never a thing that you can find long-term success with. And if Mark and Ziggy Wilf, if all they want for the Minnesota Vikings is to be like, hey, we made the wild card every other year and we made a boatload of money and we get to hang another participation trophy style banner up in the rafters that said we tried, we won the division, then just come on out and say it. Just say it, and then we'll be like, okay, I accept it. I really want to see them go after that young quarterback.
You know, I've said it so many times in the last couple of weeks, and especially this year. The formula right now, like back in the day, before free agency and stuff, it was just like, how good are you at developing players? What's the attitude of your team? Are you the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 70s? We're just gonna physically assault you the whole game. You know, when the free agency thing came around, and I'm just going in NFL history because it's fun to think about. Hey, we're going to change the league, and we're going to be the greatest show on turf, and we're just going to score more points than you. What's the identity of your team? Okay, I want to know what Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell's idea of this team is, and I think I have a general idea offensively.
I'm curious. What do you think offensively Kevin O'Connell wants the Vikings to be? I have an idea.
I think he wants them to be creative in their route running for their wide receivers, which they are. I think they want to have sneaky good tight ends, which they have. I think their failure this year was the running game. But I think what they want to be able to do is at any given point in time, we can rely on either or to confuse you, number one, confuse you a little bit. And I know they don't consider themselves to be sneakily good, which that kind of means you think less of yourselves, but you know you can fight really well. But to say, hey, look, based on the way we have everything set up, especially with drafting Jordan Addison, we'll find somebody to beat you. There will be a mismatch somewhere. And that's a generic statement. Most every team wants to have a mismatch of some sort. But I think the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell, they think we'll have more than one mismatch ready because we have such good offensive players. That's what I think. That's what it looks like to me when I watch it.
What I think, like the best version of Kevin O'Connell's offense, the version in his mind that he wants to run, tells me that, hey, you know, we are a physical, aggressive team that can run the ball. Okay, so we're going to rely on our tight ends, TJ Hawkinson. We're going to rely on our running backs, We were hoping it was Madison. Didn't end up being him, but they want to be that physical, upfront, run the ball team. But he also wants to be able to score at will with the deep pass. He wants to be able to blow it off the top. Okay, that's why you have Jefferson and Addison. That's why they invested in another big time receiver opposite of him. Okay, that's why I hope, I pray that they go after someone like Michael Penix Jr., someone with just insane deep ball accuracy who can blow it off the top to Jefferson and Addison
And
as
who fits that
needed.
mold of
Who,
he has
uh-huh.
the accuracy in the arm, but he also is mobile. That's the thing. I don't need Lamar Jackson. I would love Lamar Jackson, but we don't have to have that. I just need a guy who can scramble enough. Because, like, to be honest with you, everybody wants Patrick Mahomes, but when you look at what he does well, it's off script, right? He can kill you from the pocket if your corners aren't very good and his receivers are healthy. This is not the year to look at the Chiefs tape, but every other year. But he doesn't run a quick 40. He just scrambles enough and he can ad lib. I know that Michael Penix could do that. The injuries scare the shit out of me, but it would not at this point in the Vikings history and team and franchise. You can't sit back and let him go to another team and be awesome. You have to take a risk.
Penix to Jefferson would be Culpepper to Moss 2.0. And that's a bold statement, but like that, the potential for like those two on the field, they would absolutely blow the top off NFL defenses, because you would be giving Jefferson, and this is not a knock to Kirk, because I think Kirk actually throws, he's pretty accurate and he throws a pretty nice deep ball as well too, but you're giving him a quarterback pinpoint accuracy down the field where he could consistently drop the ball to Jefferson. And Jefferson, you can put 2 defenders, 3 defenders on top of him. It doesn't matter. He's going to go up and make that play. Those two would be a combination that, holy shit, would be impossible to stop in the NFL. And when you have that kind of elite arm strength paired with the speed of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, guess what? A lot of the other deficiencies that you have on this team suddenly don't matter, because you are outscoring every other team in your conference right now.
And as it sits right now, Chicago has the first and the 10th pick. Minnesota is at 12. I don't like this for many reasons. I don't think this is going to be the final order, because the last time the Vikings sat at 12 and somebody else were 2 picks away, the Vikings took Christian Ponder and the Houston Texans took J.J. Watt at 10. So I'm really hoping the Bears don't find a superstar.
We really don't want to win this last game.
Well, they're not going to. There's no way, because Detroit is still going to fight for number 2, I believe, because they have to have some scenarios that work out because Dallas has the head-to-head. They can still be the 2 seed. The 2. They can be the second best team in the conference. This is what's going to happen, though. Vikings are 7-9. So are Chicago and Vegas. All 7-9 teams, and Atlanta. 9, 10, 11, and 12. 7-9 teams. Atlanta, Chicago, Vegas, Minnesota. I truly believe they're going to lose this last game. I don't know if the Bears can go to Green Bay and win, but that means the Vikings are going to finish the season at 7-10. They're going to fall down to probably the 10th spot. The lowest they could be this year is 9. I've read that online. I'm not telling you, and I will defend this because I said this on Facebook or wherever else. You can't walk into that locker room and look at a guy like Justin Jefferson and say, "Hey, I need you to lose today." That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. So don't anybody come for the throat there and be like,
I already feel like they were in preseason mode a little bit in terms of some of the tape out there. And I've always heard that talent recognizes talent at the NFL level, where like, hey, we know who the best players are in that locker room. We know who should be starting. I think Jaren Hall getting the start, to me, it looked like a lot of the guys out there knew that this game's probably not going to go well, and I am not putting myself at risk at this point in the season. And so I don't blame any of the players if they are making that business decision come Sunday.
Well, I hope that Jefferson doesn't make a business decision because he has 882 yards on the year. He only needs 118 yards to get 1,000, and I would love to see him get a touchdown and have a 1,000-yard, 5-touchdown season when he was out.
What's Jordan Addison sitting at? Because I know he was really gunning for.
Damn. So he has way more touch. He's got 9. I would love to see Addison get a touchdown to have a 10-touchdown season. He's got a little further to go. He's at 854. He would need 146, which is not
Probably
unheard
not.
of, but probably not going to happen in Detroit.
Probably not going to happen.
But he could sneak in and get another touchdown, and then he's already tied for 5th at the wide receiver position for 9 touchdowns on the year. It's insane as a rookie. I would love to see a Jordan Addison touchdown and Jefferson to just absolutely have a Randy Moss game and get 1,000 yards. That's all I care about in this game Sunday, because the Vikings are all but out of the playoffs. And they're not, even if they got in, they get in as the 7 seed. I don't want to see them at Detroit a week later, repeating that 2012 season where you have this miracle game from Christian Ponder, and then a week later we go to Detroit or Green Bay that year, and then they just absolutely poop the bed. I don't want to see that. Don't do that.
Yeah, we're pretty well on the same wavelength here, Wes. I do think Penix has that chip on his shoulder. Yeah, he does want to definitely prove himself. The velocity, I think, when you watch him throw, like he doesn't throw a bad pass, which is something that you usually, like, every quarterback has a bad pass here or there. You watch him and he really doesn't throw a bad ball, which is amazing to say. The injury history with me is concerning a little bit. That's what Smith and I were talking about before we started recording. I think it was before we started recording. We were talking about Penix a little bit too. Because spoilers, I'm taking notes on the guy for our off season right now. But he has the potential to have the Sam Bradford knee issue pop up a little bit too. So if you take him, I do think you have to be mindful of, I don't know if you've got a quarterback that's going to be playing until he's 33, 34 years old. Like he could break down by the time he hits that stage of his career, which would suck because he has the skill set to be an elite talent in the NFL. The injury history, though, if the Vikings are drafting 9 or 10, he could fall into our range where it's possible that we trade up a spot or two and draft him. But I really think with Penix, some team is going to absolutely fall in love with him because he's going to knock it out of the park when it comes to his pro day or the scouting combine. If he throws at that, he is going to be one of those quarterbacks where there is no pass rush in front of him, and he's going to be able to throw it 70 yards down the field with pinpoint accuracy, and he's going to hit it, and he's going to knock all of these tests out of the park, and some team is going to absolutely fall in love with him. And I feel like he's going to go early. I think he's going to go early.
I'm on Bleacher Report, and it's everything you've been talking about. Great arm strength. He drives the ball down the field, aggressive, good deep ball accuracy. Negative. One speed thrower. He only throws line drives. He needs to add arc and touch to the ball. Below average accuracy in the intermediate area, which that's not good for the Vikings offense. Poor response.
You can work on that. You can work on that.
Offense struggles to throw bodies around him in the pocket. That'll be often in the NFL. Flashes NFL progression ability, but too often triggers a beat late. I know I said this, but I have to redact my statement, and I have to go against what I said. Sorry, I'm fighting off sneezing here and going into a fit. 4 season-ending injuries.
I know.
2 ACLs and then AC joint separation in each shoulder. I am 1,000% out on this kid now. I hate it because I watched him in this game and he looks good, but my goodness, that's college. He's gonna die in the NFL.
Dude, I'm telling you, the Sam Bradford 2.0 comparison with him is, I think, really spot on. Where you're gonna go when you're healthy,
Yeah,
you're gonna be in the conversation for one of the top quarterbacks in the league. The problem with him is probably gonna be, are you gonna get consistency out of him? Are you
Right.
gonna make it through a full season and off season with Michael Penix Jr. as your starting quarterback? I want to try. I wouldn't fault the team if they tried.
I'm gonna look and see about this kid from Oregon as well, because I feel like these are the ones. The Vikings aren't getting Caleb Williams. They're not getting Drake May, so they're going to be in this Michael Penix, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy conversation. And I don't see anything impressive about the kid from Michigan. I see the entire team of Michigan being impressive and making the quarterback better, not the other way around. The kid that won the Heisman from LSU, I watched him play like against cans, as we call them, just shit teams, and pad some stats. So I don't think I don't think Bo Nix going to him 4,500 yards this year, 45 touchdowns, 3 picks. Jesus. I need to have a comparison. I need a scouting report. But that's kind of where the Vikings are going to be. There could be as much as 6, depending on LSU, if he decides to say the kid from LSU won the Heisman this year. But you got to take a chance on some of these. To your point, I am out on Penix because of the injuries, but I mean, he looks good. I watched the game the other day. He has a nice touch, Lamar Jackson-esque, nice sidearm. I mean, he's, like I said, he has a deep ball accuracy. And the Vikings have a comparable team professionally with Addison, Hawkinson, if KJ Osborne stays, and Justin Jefferson. Like, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, you put him with those weapons, and you figure out a little bit on the running game. You give him a little bit of that out there. That has a potential to be a top offense in the league.
I feel so old reading these guys. Both of these guys were born in May and February of 2000. They were literally infants when 9/11 happened, and I was in the 8th grade.
We are getting
Get me out of here. I hate this.
We are very, very quickly getting to the point where players that are going to
get off our lawn.
Yeah, get off my lawn. No, to where the top prospects coming out of college are going to be born the year that we graduated high school.
Oh, that hurts. It hurts.
How does
Yeah, but so does sitting down and getting up out of a chair now. So hey, it's time to go get your blood pressure checked, everybody.
It's funny. It's funny at work, and I don't know if it's because I've got tattoos and I stand out different from all the other management at work. And so I talk to a lot of the younger kids about, like, hey, video games and all that kind of stuff too. When I was talking to one of them today, I realized, oh, I'm old enough to be your dad. I'm like, you realize I'm the same age as your parents, right?
How old are they?
How old was he? 16?
Yeah, you easily could be his dad, 100%.
Yeah, I'm
thinking now, if they're 20, you'd have to have a kid at 15, which is not unheard of. Not ideal, but not unheard of. If you add 5 years, that you'd be 20 when you have a kid. That's when a lot of people have kids. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's not that any of you guys care, but that's a recent topic with a lot of my friends lately is, hey, do you want more kids? I'm like, I'm 35 and I have a 6-year-old. Fuck no. Well, why not? Maybe you should, like, I'm not going to give away the name or whoever, but one of my friends got married in October and I went to the wedding and I'm real good friends with him. Obviously, I was in the groomsmen party and his mother and I are very close. She gave me a hug. It's like, oh, it's nice to see you. The best man's little daughter is running around in the little, tutu or whatever, 2 years old, cute as could be. It's like, you need to give your son a sister. And I was like, and I said, and I will redact her name. And I was like, you do know, and this is too much information for a football podcast, but I don't care. We've dropped the F-bomb 17 times. I was like, you know what? I was actually Googling how much a vasectomy costs yesterday. No, but bringing it in because we're weird and dumb on the show. I can't believe I'm 35 years old. I don't feel 35 most days, but man, when you start looking at these kids coming out of like college or whatever for like the NFL prospect and stuff, you're like, you're born in what year?
You start doing the
Damn.
mental gymnastics of like we were making fun of Brett Favre for being super old in '09, and like I'm
We're
creeping
his
up
age now.
and like I'm creeping up on how old Favre was.
Oh, that hurts. It hurts so bad. Doing a quick rundown before we end the show. Yeah, the Lions game was pretty frustrating because I said that was our last gasp and breath. Did not like seeing another team win the division while they were in Minnesota, but they are the superior team. I will say this to you, Lions fans. I am happy for you fully. I am rooting for
They earned
you and
it.
only you
Yep.
this season in the NFC. I'm only rooting for the Lions. However, I do want to say you are welcome that Kirk was down because this would have been a completely different season. And it would have been a lot more entertaining and a lot more difficult for you to win the division. I will say this Nick Mullins gave the game away twice, and you beat us by 6 points. So
Please, Nick Mullins, give the game away again on Sunday. You will be helping the future of the franchise. The worst thing you could do would be to win this arbitrary and meaningless game. Remember the last time that happened when we could have had potentially RG3 as a Minnesota Viking, and I know his career didn't work out the way it did, but we won a game at the end of the year, and then we drafted Matt Khalil.
that was a fun year. Ugh,
Yeah.
same age as Tom Brady. You old West. Did you age like Tom Brady? That's what all you have to do is become a multi-millionaire.
And plastic surgery.
And then, the Green Bay game. I mean, the whole team was flat, and I will say that Jordan Love looks comfortable. I pump the brakes on calling him another. It's the fun thing to do the last 5 years on the internet is just to say the most extreme thing possible to get a reaction. Calm down on saying they have 3 back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. That's ridiculous. Yeah, they look good. I think the Packers draft very well. I think they do everything in house traditionally in an old school way. They do it the best way, in the NFL. They just had a better game plan.
That's because no free agents are fucking going to Green Bay.
That's
So
100% part of it.
They better draft well.
Yeah, that's actually absolutely positively like part of it. And the other part of it is I said it earlier in the show, the defense looks figured out, and they expose the defense very badly. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been a negative Nancy this season. I've told these guys on 3 separate occasions the Vikings have broken me this year. That I didn't watch the second half of that game. I'm with my brand new baby nephew, my brother, his wife, sitting on their couch, and I got up and I just sighed loud. And they're like, "You're going to bed?" I was like, "I'm not watching this shit," and I went to bed.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. So that was the last 2 games. The season's over with. It is what it is. You know, like that meme is one of the most famous ones. Is like, we'll go through the revolving door until there's hope again, and then we'll get excited when the next season comes around. It just sucks because there's such a lull between the Super Bowl and the draft, and then the draft to when they actually get on the field. It feels like forever.
Well, this year there are so many quarterbacks at the top end of the draft that we're going to have discussions about. And then there's also other players as well, because there are other positions of need that we can be talking about. Because as likely as it is for them to go quarterback, like we were saying earlier, you could go defensive end, you could go defensive tackle, you could go corner, you could probably not go safety because we would riot if they drafted another safety here in Minnesota. And that's also why the defense kind of fell apart a little bit at the end of the season.
Yep.
Brian Flores worked wonders with a pretty bare kitchen.
Yes,
there's not a lot a lot of long-term pieces and parts for this team out there on defense. I mean, you got a swan song Harrison Smith saying goodbye to us this year. We're thankful for him. He's probably going to be gone. I mean, corner, they did well, but
they can't figure out how to draft a good corner to save their fucking life.
You can make a strong case for them drafting another corner this year.
Here's what I
as
think is
well-
going to happen,
as well,
because I've
too.
heard this from people around podcasting and broadcasting and whatever, and maybe their opinions are dog shit, but I heard that this draft is very thick with edge rushers. Go get a fucking pass rusher. Because Danielle Hunter's not staying here, guys. Spoiler alert. He's not staying here. So
Maybe, but even
I don't think he will.
yeah, I know. I don't. I've heard, and again, like you said, we're not insiders. We just what we pick up from other news sources out there as well too. He might be looking for a big contract, like a big contract in free agency, and I just don't think the Vikings have that kind of money, even if they wanted to keep him in Minnesota.
He has 15 and a half sacks. I think this is his best year as a pro. He's
Yeah.
tied for fifth in sacks and forced fumbles. He's tied fifth for 4. Doesn't have any picks, but he's been a game record this year. He deserves to go get paid, and I think truly one of those teams that has a salary cap wizard that's close to a championship. Like, who's on the fringe right now in the AFC? Like, he's a Buffalo Bill all day long. He'll replace Von Miller if they get rid of him so fast. And it makes sense, you know. Go get a pass rusher though. You know,
the coach down in Miami. I can't think of his name, but
Mike McDaniels. Yes,
he's a mad scientist on bringing players in. Like, I could see them just, hey, fucking, we're bringing in Danielle Hunter. We're going for it.
Yeah. My point for that being, there's other places they could go. I would not be mad at all if they say, hey, look, we're going to give Kirk Cousins one final 2-year deal. We're going to ride the ship till it sinks. Mm-hmm. There will be a quarterback at some point we're going to address, if it's this year or next year. And then they go and say, hey, we got some deficiencies we got to work on. We need a fucking refrigerator in the middle of the defensive line. We need to replace Danielle Hunter. We need a corner that's going to be feared. You got all these to address. And like you said, the departing of Harrison Smith, does Lewis Cine finally take the field? I think you should give him the chance. What do you do about that? So there's a lot of questions going forward. And I think more than ever, there is an avenue where the Vikings may not do what you think they're going to do. I think they will do what we want them or thought they were going to. There is a possibility in a world where they just say, hey, we're going to roll with Kirk. We're going to give him a 2-year deal. It's going to be team friendly. We're going to pay Justin Jefferson. We're going to try to go add some young pieces and see if we can't do what Detroit has done the last 2 years. Guys, you don't realize, Jonathan put it up here, Green Bay's very young, and they're going to be scary for the foreseeable. They're the youngest team on the average in the league. They're very good, and they're getting better. So is Detroit. Detroit has drafted so well. So well.
Chicago.
If Chicago drafts well, we are fucked. We are so fucked.
Chicago, low-key, is sitting out here with 2 very high draft picks. The potential to change their franchise in an instant on whatever. Marvin Harrison Jr., probably a Chicago Bear.
DJ Moore together? Are you kidding me?
Right.
What do you do with that?
And if they trade Fields out and get themselves another quarterback, one of these top quarterbacks that come in, I mean, my Lord.
Yeah, they would have done a pretty quick turnaround within 3 years. I think they're going to roll Fields. I think they're going to do it.
Nah. We've said this all year about Kirk Cousins. Ask me today, and I'll tell you one thing. Ask me tomorrow, and my opinion might change tomorrow. But you ask me right now, live on the air, it feels like a mistake to roll back with Kirk for another couple years. I don't know, dude.
With Kirk?
With Kirk, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to talk about this in the offseason. We're gonna bury this in the offseason.
I don't know. I don't know, dude. This is gonna be every episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Season.
For the 6-7 of you that join us every week, as we end the show, we love you. We always tell you that. We mean that. Get ready for nonstop. What are the Vikings gonna do? And we'll go game by game breakdown. We'll talk about a player. I think what we're gonna do, and I'm kind of doing this on the fly, but Kyle and I really want to jump into the draft coverage. We'll review the season week by week, so that'll cancel out like, counting down to April. But we can talk about a player per episode too, and you and I can rotate, so we don't have to do shoulder to low. We only have to do half, which is great. Like I can look at 10 players' YouTube highlights. And
I just want to do this for fun for myself.
yeah, right.
Because
Same.
10 years ago when I was youthful and I had motivation, I remember when I used to know like the whole first round of like, hey, here are all the players coming out. And let me tell you what I think of DeBrickashaw Ferguson. He's one of my favorite players coming out of the draft. And how long ago was that now? And like, I have just like fallen off on draft coverage. And like this year in particular, I really want to know the bulk of the big name players that are going to be coming out of the draft. So for my own sake, like I'm sitting down and I want to scout these guys and get to know them and let y'all know what I think.
So I will not name where I am an employer at. I'll just tell you that Big Brother pays me. So I meant to say this earlier, but we always get sidetracked because the Kyle and Kyle show is kind of crazy and chaotic. So I was selected to work the Super Bowl this year. And here's the thing.
I think you have COVID coming up that week and you can't work.
Here's the thing. It's not like when I go on work trips. I said Super Bowl and you came running. Hi. It's not like other work trips where, I help a different location out because they're short in my position or whatever. This is a special event that I was selected for among a lot of people. And granted, I put my name in the pool every year. Hey, I'd like to work the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. I have a chance to go and be in Las Vegas for 10 days. And I am so excited just to nerd out about football and watch the Ravens beat the shit out of the 49ers. Finally a 1 versus 1 seed that makes sense because this year is just awful for most teams. Anyways, I just want to throw that out there. If I do,
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm gonna try like crazy to just bother players and ask random questions to broadcast personalities when I'm allowed, and I'll give you guys the full recap.
If you can find Chris Tomlinson, he won't be there, but if you could, would you punch him in the face for me?
No, I'm going to get a picture with him, and then I'm going to put it on a T-shirt, and we're going to sell it on your Redbubble. That's what we're going to do.
He wrote a book. I still think we need to.
He wrote a book?
He wrote a book. Yeah.
Get the hell out of here. I got to.
You don't remember that? Chris Tomlinson wrote a book because we were joking I was going to get it for you guys for Christmas.
Chris Tomlinson book. The Minnesota Vikings All-Stars, best players at each position, purple and gold. Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he wrote like a memoir.
That would be.
I'm disappointed now. I don't want Vikings coverage. I want you to tell me what you're thinking on a Saturday. That's hilarious.
That would be amazing.
All right, you guys, let's get out of here. We'll end
it was
right
a cold, blustery day in 1987. Yes. Like that's what you want from Chris Tomlinson.
I want to hear him drinking chamomile tea, just sitting on a porch, thinking about what happened during the '60s. What happened when the Korean War was going on, and you were a young boy? God, that'd be hilarious. Head on over to thevikingage.com. We wanted to give a special shout out and our well wishes to Adam. He's a little under the weather. I'm not going to disclose anything, but he couldn't make it tonight. He's doing all right. And at least for me in our side chat, he said, hey, look, I'm going to be all right. It's nothing crazy. So we wish you the best, man. If you'd like to support him and help him out, I suggest everyone go to the Viking Age right now. Just click on an article and scroll through it. You don't even have to leave comments anymore. They've made it so easy for you to help him make money. And I know Charlotte and Jonathan are really good about it. If you feel so inclined, share it on Facebook and see if other people click on it. Help him have a good start to 2024 and go to the Viking Age and click on his articles. You can follow Adam on social media at MN, like Minnesota, MN Viking Zombie. We have some in the archives. We'll try to get back to them. We do horror movie reviews. He's on Twitch. He's on TikTok. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. So give him a follow there and show some love if you want to help him out on that part.
You can check me out at Vaguely Square. I am over on Blue Sky. That is the only social media platform you will find me. Anywhere else is an imitation. I don't know. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, such a game show host. The way you said that's so good. That was perfect.
It's because I had this thing laying on my desk that's kind of like a business card, and I was like, "Huh, I could be Johnny Carson right now."
Kyle, is that true? No, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night.
I did.
Thank you.
And
Here you go. Go buy some of Kyle West's stuff too.
yeah, Kyle West 84.pickfair, PICFAIR.com. And help share it on social media as well. Whatever platform you're on, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, GeoCities, Yahoo.
What's your AOL screen name? That's what I want.
AOL screen name. You can share it on social media, and that would be helpful.
Kyle West also has a Redbubble account, and to the Survival League winners, I haven't forgotten about you. I promise I won't wait till May to send stuff out. I got the email the other day from one of the winners. I've been in contact on the Purple People Podcast Messenger page, so I'll try to get that out to you soon. Yeah, thanks for participating. We're going to send you Purple People Podcast merch at no charge because that's how cool we are. Yeah, so the Vikings have one regular season game left. It doesn't look like they're going to go to the playoffs. They're in Detroit this Sunday. I'm more intrigued to watch the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. I will watch the Vikings because I am kid-free this weekend, and it'll be the last time I get to for this particular season. But I'm going to watch the Bills and hope they get in because they could somehow, if things fall perfectly for them, end up as the 2 seed. And they've had a year, and they look like they're getting hot. So I'll root for an old Stephon Diggs renaissance and Josh Allen, whatever. But I'll take the reins for Adam. Adam's not here, so I'll say, hey, take care of yourselves. Happy New Year's. We really hope that you guys had a great holiday. And if all goes well, we'll be talking about who are we predicting right now? I think it's going to be the Ravens and the 49ers. Some team will upset some other team somewhere in the playoffs. I don't like the way it is. But if all goes to plan and all goes well, I'm going to go to the Super Bowl, and I'll tell you guys all about it. Really excited about that. Until the next time, and we get past this last game, everybody stay safe and stay classy, Minnesota.